Hello Golden State Warriors fans. We are here once again to bring you the latest news related to our team, and I would like to emphasize how committed we are to improving our performance to achieve great results. Before we dive into this intriguing news, I kindly request you to show your support by clicking the like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, I invite you all to join us on an exciting journey. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
Steph Curry and Zion Williamson could team up next summer, says former Warrior. Steph Curry and Zion Williamson might just be joining forces on the court next summer, and fans won't want to miss it. According to a former Sixth Man of the Year from the Golden State Warriors, both NBA stars have shown serious interest in playing at Jamal Crawford's crossover Pro-Am in Seattle. If it happens, it could be one of the most exciting summer events basketball has seen in years. Curry, who's made it clear that his main focus is bringing another championship to the Warriors, is still recovering from a playoff injury that prematurely ended Golden State's 2024 run against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Despite being 37, Curry continues to defy age, and his competitive fire hasn't cooled one bit. Zion Williamson, on the other hand, has had a career overshadowed by injuries. Last season, he appeared in just 30 games before being sidelined with a back injury. Still, when healthy, Williamson is one of the most electrifying players in the league, a true force on the court. Seeing Curry and Williamson play side by side, even just in a Pro-Am setting, would be must-see TV. And at Crossover, known for its high-energy atmosphere and passionate Seattle fans, the duo could turn the gym into a madhouse. Both stars have reportedly expressed interest in playing next summer, potentially joining a list of NBA greats who've graced the crossover stage. In 2022, LeBron James and Jason Tatum suited up for the event, marking LeBron's first appearance in Seattle since 2007. Seattle, still longing for the return of an NBA team after the Supersonics' departure to Oklahoma City, treats crossover like a major league event. Jamal Crawford, who played for the Warriors in 2008 and now organizes the Summer League, told the Seattle Times, "Crossover will be back. I'm already planning for next year. I'll be coaching again, but I'm always thinking of how to make it even better." On the possibility of Curry and Zion participating, Crawford added, "It just shows that Seattle basketball, both pro and amateur, isn't just on the map. The best in the world are taking notice." Curry showed last summer, with his standout performance at the Olympics, that he can still put on a show in the offseason. And if he takes the court with Zion in Seattle, it's bound to be unforgettable. For Zion, it's about more than just a game. Zion's interest in crossover could also be a promising sign about his health and mindset. Since entering the league, he's battled injury after injury, starting with a torn meniscus in his rookie preseason. The New Orleans Pelicans have been cautious, often limiting his minutes and keeping a tight rein on his playing time. Now 25, Zion has made it clear, he wants to play without restrictions. His eagerness to participate in a summer Pro-Am hints at a player ready to take control of his own narrative. It might just be optimism, or maybe it's a shift in mentality. Either way, his willingness to put in extra work during the off-season could signal a turning point. And maybe, just maybe, it's Zion's way of telling the Pelicans, and the world, that he's ready to take the reins. A potential summer showcase with major implications. If Steph Curry and Zion Williamson take the court together at Crossover, it won't just be a spectacle, it could have ripple effects across the NBA landscape. For Curry, it's a chance to stay sharp, lead by example, and inspire the next generation. He's one of the most respected figures in the league, and any time he laces up outside of a Warriors jersey, it draws massive attention. Fans, young players, and even fellow pros show up when Steph plays, and his presence at Crossover could elevate the event to new heights. For Zion, this is much more than a summer run. It could be the first step toward rewriting the narrative around his career. His name has often been associated more with what could have been rather than what is. But showing up healthy, active, and aggressive in the offseason could send a clear message. He's ready to finally take that leap. Analysts have already begun speculating on what this appearance could mean for his standing with the Pelicans. Is this Zion signaling that he's no longer willing to be handled with kid gloves? Is he looking to prove that he can endure a full NBA season? Or is he quietly auditioning for a future elsewhere? Reactions from around the league. The buzz around the potential Curry-Williamson team-up has already sparked reactions across social media. NBA players, insiders, and fans are weighing in. Draymond Green, Curry's longtime teammate, hinted at the news during a recent podcast episode, saying, "If Steph's going up to Seattle, you know it's something special. He doesn't just show up unless there's a reason. JJ Redick, former player and now an ESPN analyst, tweeted, "If Zion shows out at crossover and stays healthy, the league better watch out. He's got a point to prove." Even Jamal Crawford himself took to social media, teasing, "This summer might break the internet. Just wait." With all eyes on Seattle, it's no longer just a local event. Crossover is becoming a national stage, especially when the biggest names in the league are showing interest. Seattle's basketball scene is booming. This momentum also shines a spotlight on Seattle's enduring passion for basketball. Despite losing the Supersonics in 2008, the city has remained a basketball hotbed. From grassroots talent to NBA alumni like Crawford, Nate Robinson, and Isaiah Thomas, the culture is alive and well. Events like Crossover aren't just entertainment, they're a statement. A message that Seattle deserves a team again. And the presence of megastars like Steph and Zion only strengthens the case for the NBA's return to the Emerald City. Looking ahead. Nothing has been officially confirmed yet, but all signs point to a summer spectacle that could reshape storylines for two of the league's most compelling players. If Curry joins, it'll remind the world that he's not done yet, that even in the twilight of his career, he's still reaching for greatness. If Zion joins, it could mark the beginning of a comeback story that fans have been hoping for since he entered the league. One thing is certain. If this summer's crossover lives up to the hype, it won't just be another Pro-Am game. It'll be a moment. Kuminga deal could be the key to landing Russell Westbrook, says Kings insider. A source close to the Sacramento Kings believes that acquiring Jonathan Kuminga could be the domino that finally brings Russell Westbrook to town. The Kings have made it clear this offseason, they're focused on injecting young athletic talent into their roster. And one name that keeps popping up is Jonathan Kuminga. The 21-year-old forward, currently with the Golden State Warriors, is reportedly open to a move to Sacramento, where he believes he'd have a more meaningful role than he ever had in Golden State's crowded rotation. While the Kings are eager to get a deal done, the Warriors haven't made things easy. Negotiations hit a snag when Golden State reportedly refused to engage in a sign-and-trade for DeMar DeRozan, killing the momentum of earlier talks. But hope isn't lost. There's still growing optimism within league circles that the Kings could land Kuminga, and according to Kings insider Alan Stiles, that move could unlock the door for Russell Westbrook to join Sacramento as well. Kuminga first, Westbrook next. Speaking recently on Sacktown Sports, Stiles broke down how the Kings could potentially thread the needle. The Kings are betting on Kuminga holding firm, maybe even threatening to accept the qualifying offer. If that happens, the Warriors could panic at the last second and say, "We can't let him walk for nothing. Malik Monk and a protected pick? That's better than zero." And just like that, the deal gets done. From there, the path to Westbrook opens up. With Monk out of the picture, Westbrook steps in. Suddenly, we're looking at a very different, and very intriguing training camp. That's the biggest reason this Westbrook buzz hasn't gone away yet. A fit, or a floor spacer's nightmare. Still, not everyone is sold on the idea of pairing Westbrook with Kuminga. While both bring athleticism, explosiveness and veteran savvy in Westbrook's case, there's a glaring concern: floor spacing. Westbrook's struggles from beyond the arc are well documented. Kuminga, while showing flashes of offensive versatility, isn't a consistent three-point threat either. In an era where spacing is everything, starting two players with unreliable perimeter shooting could seriously cramp Sacramento's offense. Even with the sharp shooting of Zach LaVine and the occasional deep ball from Domantas Sabonis, the loss of Malik Monk, one of the team's best and most confident shooters, would be hard to absorb. The big question: can the Kings still compete in the West without elite spacing? It's a risk, and potentially a costly one, in today's NBA. High risk, high reward. On paper, this potential shakeup comes with both upside and uncertainty. Kuminga brings untapped potential, high-flying defense, and raw scoring ability. Westbrook, though past his prime, showed he can still impact games, especially during his recent stint with the Nuggets. But chemistry, spacing, and fit will be everything. If the Kings can find a way to make it all work, perhaps by surrounding this new core with reliable shooters and defensive-minded role players, this could be the bold swing Sacramento needs to finally rise above the middle of the pack. If not, it might just be another off-season of big names and missed opportunities. Westbrook's arrival could shift Sacramento's identity. If the Kings pull off both moves, landing Jonathan Kuminga and signing Russell Westbrook, the team's identity could shift dramatically. Sacramento has built its reputation over the last 2 seasons around speed, ball movement, and high-efficiency offense. Under head coach Mike Brown, the Kings have embraced a modern offensive scheme built around De'Aaron Fox's explosiveness, Domantas Sabonis' high-post playmaking, and perimeter threats like Monk, Kevin Huerter, and Keegan Murray. Injecting Kuminga and Westbrook into that system would bring new dimensions, but also new challenges. Kuminga adds size, athleticism, and switchable defense on the wing. He's a transition weapon and a developing scorer, and with more consistent minutes, he could finally take the leap many expected when he was drafted. Westbrook brings intensity, experience, and leadership, but also high usage and a style that doesn't always complement off-ball stars. His fit next to Fox, another ball-dominant guard, would need careful balancing. The Kings' coaching staff would be under pressure to rework rotations, stagger playmakers, and ensure the floor remains spaced enough for the offense to breathe. It's a bold experiment, but also a potential formula for unlocking another level of competitiveness. A gamble that could make or break the Kings' momentum. For Sacramento, the timing is critical. After snapping their 16-year playoff drought in 2023 and taking the defending champs to 7 games, the Kings showed they're no longer a bottom-tier franchise. But last season's early playoff exit reignited questions about their ceiling. General Manager Monte McNair knows the Western Conference is unforgiving, and standing still means falling behind. Teams like Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and even Houston are on the rise. Meanwhile, perennial contenders like Denver, Phoenix, and the Clippers remain in the mix. This off-season is a pivotal moment. The Kings could double down on youth and growth, or swing for the fences with experienced high-risk veterans like Westbrook. The outcome of the Kuminga trade could determine which path they take. What this means for Golden State. On the other end of this equation sits Golden State, a franchise clearly in transition. With Klay Thompson gone, Chris Paul traded, and the team navigating salary cap pressure, the Warriors must choose between holding on to developing assets like Kuminga, or cashing in to preserve their current core. Letting Kuminga go for Malik Monk and a future pick would suggest Golden State is leaning towards short-term flexibility rather than long-term investment in youth. But it could also hint at a deeper shift, a possible rebuild on the horizon, centered around younger talent, with Stephen Curry aging and the title window narrowing. In that light, Sacramento's push for Kuminga could turn out to be more than just a roster move. It could mark a changing of the guard between 2 franchises with very different timelines. League-wide reactions and speculation. As rumors swirl, league insiders and fans alike are dissecting the potential fallout. Some see Kuminga's departure from Golden State as a sign of missed development opportunities in the Warriors system. Others view Sacramento's aggressiveness as a breath of fresh air, a mid-market team refusing to settle and pushing for relevance. And then there's Westbrook, still one of the most polarizing names in the NBA. His potential comeback story in Sacramento would dominate headlines and bring a new level of media attention to the franchise. Social media has been buzzing with mixed takes. If Kuminga finally gets real minutes, he's going to shine. Sacramento might have just stolen the future face of their franchise. NBA scout, via The Athletic. Westbrook to the Kings? Love the energy, but spacing's gonna be a nightmare. Anonymous Eastern Conference GM. What comes next? With training camp around the corner, decisions will need to be made quickly. Whether it's pulling the trigger on a Kuminga deal, securing Westbrook, or pivoting entirely, the next few weeks will be crucial in shaping what kind of team Sacramento becomes in 2025-26. It's clear the Kings aren't content with being a playoff team. They want to be a real contender. The only question now is, at what cost? Kevin Durant accidentally won 2 NBA Finals MVPs, says former teammate. Kevin Durant's time with the Golden State Warriors delivered 2 championships and 2 NBA Finals MVP trophies. But according to those close to the team, at least one of those accolades might not have gone the way KD intended. Durant's 3-year run in the Bay Area was short but unforgettable. He joined a dynasty, elevated it, and walked away with 2 rings and a Finals MVP award in each title run. Still, years later, the shadow of those victories follows him, especially when it comes to how fans and the media perceive his legacy. Despite the hardware, Durant has often been criticized for joining an already stacked Warriors squad. Some fans still argue that the team didn't need him, and that his presence overshadowed franchise cornerstone Stephen Curry. And perhaps no moment illustrates that tension more than the 2018 Finals, where Durant once again walked away with the MVP trophy, even though he never really wanted it. Durant wanted Steph to win in 2018. In an April 2025 episode of the panel via Player's Choice, former Warrior Quinn Cook shed light on what was going on behind the scenes during the 2018 title run. Honestly, Kevin wanted Steph to win Finals MVP that year, Cook revealed. That's all he talked about the entire season. He kept saying, "I can't wait for Steph to get it and shut everyone up." The sentiment was genuine. KD knew how much Curry meant to the Warriors, to the fans, and to the game, and he wanted his teammate to finally get the recognition he deserved on the biggest stage. And at first, it looked like it might actually happen. In Game 2 of the 2018 Finals, Curry caught fire, breaking the NBA record for most three-pointers in a Finals game with 9. The momentum was squarely in Steph's corner. But then came Game 3. He accidentally took over the series. According to Cook, it wasn't about Durant trying to steal the spotlight. It was just KD being, well, KD. In Game 3, we were struggling. Steph couldn't get anything going, and Kevin just kind of accidentally dropped 40-something, Cook laughed. He wasn't even trying to be aggressive, he's just that good. And that's how he ended up winning Finals MVP again. Durant's Game 3 stat line? 43 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists in a crucial road win. Curry, on the other hand, finished with just 11 points on 3 of 16 shooting. That one game swung the narrative, and the vote. Over the course of the series, Durant averaged 28.8 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per game. Curry wasn't far behind, posting 27.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 6.8 assists, but KD's Game 3 heroics tipped the scales. The legacy debate still lingers. Durant's dominance helped secure back-to-back titles for the Warriors, but the Finals MVP discourse has lingered for years. Many believe Curry should have had at least one of those awards, and it wasn't until 2022, when the Warriors beat the Celtics, that Steph finally got his long-overdue Finals MVP. For Durant, it seems the accolades didn't bring the validation he hoped for, and perhaps even created more distance between him and the Warriors faithful. As he once mentioned in interviews, he doesn't feel fully appreciated by Golden State fans, partly because his success in the finals came at the expense of Curry's recognition. But what's clear now, thanks to Cook's insight, is that Durant wasn't chasing the spotlight, he was trying to share it. Whether fans accept that or not, one thing's for sure, Kevin Durant's greatness was never in question. And if you can drop 43 points in a finals game without trying to dominate, well, maybe you deserve to accidentally win MVP. A misunderstood legacy? What makes Durant's case so unique and polarizing is that his success came in such overwhelming fashion that it almost seemed unfair. The Warriors were already a juggernaut before he arrived. After a 73-9 season and a finals appearance in 2016, adding Durant felt to many like stacking the deck. So when he delivered back-to-back dominant finals performances, fans didn't celebrate him the way they would have if he'd won elsewhere. Instead of elevating his legacy, those MVPs became fuel for criticism. And it's clear that Durant has felt that. Despite his best efforts to fit in and empower his teammates, especially Curry, the narrative that he took something away from Steph has stuck. It's an unfair take, considering both players repeatedly expressed respect and admiration for each other, both publicly and behind the scenes. Durant never asked for the finals MVPs. In fact, if Quinn Cook's account is any indication, he would have gladly traded at least one for Steph to finally silence critics and complete his own finals MVP story arc. But the game, and the votes, had other plans. Inside the Warriors' locker room at the Tim. Reports from that 2018 Warriors locker room suggest no tension between Curry and Durant, at least not the kind often projected by outside voices. Teammates knew Durant wasn't trying to outshine Curry, and Curry himself wasn't the type to chase individual honors over team success. Veterans like Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston have both spoken in the past about the professionalism and chemistry that held the Warriors together during that era, even if the media constantly speculated otherwise. But even as the locker room remained strong, the external pressure mounted. The media narrative became impossible to ignore. Whose team is it, Curry's or Durant's? The constant debate about finals MVPs only added to the noise. And while Curry was patient, eventually earning his own finals MVP in 2022, Durant chose a different path, opting to forge his own legacy elsewhere by joining the Brooklyn Nets in 2019. The repercussions today. Fast forward to 2025, and the conversation still hasn't gone away. Durant, now with the Houston Rockets, is leading a new generation of talent while still chasing another ring. But the weight of those Warriors years still follows him, not because of failure, but because of how dominant he was. His relationship with Warriors fans remains complicated. Some admire him for helping bring titles to the Bay. Others still hold on to the idea that he disrupted the team's organic growth. That tension, while subtle, continues to play out on social media and during Durant's return games to Chase Center, where he's often met with mixed reactions. Even Draymond Green, who was famously involved in a heated courtside exchange with KD during the 2018-19 season, has spoken recently on his podcast about how the team could have done a better job making KD feel like he truly belonged. "I think we all could have handled that time a little differently," Green said. "Looking back, we should have made sure KD knew he was appreciated for what he brought." What this means moving forward. Durant's career is still far from over, and there's a real possibility he adds another chapter, or another Finals MVP, with Houston if the team's young core matures quickly. But regardless of what comes next, his time with the Warriors will always be one of the most scrutinized and misunderstood runs in NBA history. Yet maybe that's exactly what makes Durant's story compelling. He wasn't chasing individual glory, he simply played so well, it was impossible to ignore. And even if he didn't want to be the Finals MVP in 2018, he still earned it. The disconnect between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors grows deeper. The Golden State Warriors' current offer to Jonathan Kuminga simply doesn't align with what he's looking for, and the disconnect between both sides is becoming harder to ignore. This offseason, the Warriors have been trying to find common ground with the talented forward, but Kuminga isn't exactly making things easy for the franchise that drafted him. And the truth is, he has his reasons. Until the Warriors resolve Kuminga's situation, they're stuck in limbo, unable to pursue key free agents like Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton. Kuminga, now an unrestricted free agent, has made it clear he doesn't want to return to Golden State. Unfortunately for him, the team still holds more control over his future than he'd like. The expectation is that Kuminga will eventually sign a short-term deal and be traded, possibly before the February trade deadline. But so far, negotiations haven't gone anywhere. According to reports, the Warriors have offered Kuminga a 2-year, $45 million contract, an offer he has no real interest in accepting. Why? Because to him, it feels less like a commitment and more like a convenient trade chip. Golden State is hoping to lock him into a team-friendly deal that's easy to move. They've even requested a team option for the second year and asked Kuminga to waive his no-trade clause. But from Kuminga's point of view, that's just not good enough. He's not interested in taking less than his true value just to help the Warriors keep their options open. In simple terms, he wants a fair deal that reflects his talent and potential, not a short-term placeholder deal that benefits everyone but him. Kuminga recently traveled to his home country, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and returned to Miami, where he's been training this offseason, still unimpressed with Golden State's 2-year, $45 million offer, reported Anthony Slater of ESPN. Slater adds that the Warriors framed the proposal to Kuminga's camp as a flexible, tradable contract that could eventually meet both parties' long-term goals once he becomes eligible to be moved again in January. But that pitch hasn't changed Kuminga's stance. He continues to push back. The Warriors currently plan to pay Kuminga about $22 million next season. And while that may seem like a solid number, Kuminga sees himself on the same tier as players like Tyler Herro and R.J. Barrett, both of whom are making significantly more. That's where the tension lies. To make matters worse, Kuminga feels the team has already moved on from him. They replaced his role in the rotation with Jimmy Butler, benched him during the season's must-win finale, sat him in the first play-in game, and barely gave him minutes during the postseason. From Kuminga's perspective, Golden State has already decided they don't need him to win, and now he's asking them to prove it without him. He continues to resist, Slater said. Sources say he doesn't want a deal so heavily tilted in the team's favor, and the idea of signing just to make it easier to be traded mid-season doesn't appeal to him. Kuminga isn't looking for charity, just clarity. He wants a deal that shows a real commitment, whether it's from Golden State or another franchise. A 2-year offer with team control doesn't exactly scream franchise cornerstone. It suggests he's seen as a bench piece, and that's not the message he wants to send to the rest of the league. At this stage in his career, All Kuminga is asking for is a real opportunity to prove himself, not to be packaged in a contract designed to make him more tradable. And that, from his perspective, is not too much to ask. The deadlock deepens. Kuminga's standoff has ripple effects across the Warriors' off-season. As the off-season drags on, the impasse between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors is no longer just a contract dispute. It's beginning to shape the entire trajectory of the team's summer moves. Mounting pressure on both sides. With Kuminga's situation unresolved, the Warriors remain effectively frozen. Their ability to pursue key free agents has been delayed, and any plans to reshape the roster remain on hold. Kuminga, for his part, seems unfazed by the uncertainty. He's reportedly considering playing under the one-year qualifying offer, which includes a no-trade clause, rather than accepting a deal that he believes undervalues him. His message is clear. He's willing to bet on himself rather than settle for short-term convenience or financial safety if it doesn't come with long-term respect. Trade talks quiet and complicated. Although the Warriors have explored trade possibilities involving Kuminga, they've been reluctant to pull the trigger on any deals. Teams like Sacramento and Phoenix have shown interest and reportedly made competitive offers, but none have met Golden State's high asking price. The Warriors are reportedly looking for unprotected first-round picks or proven talent in return, a steep cost for a player who, while full of potential, still hasn't fully broken out. Complicating matters further are league rules around sign-and-trade deals and salary matching, which make executing a clean trade even more difficult. Despite interest from several teams, Kuminga remains on the roster as the Warriors weigh whether to compromise or risk losing value altogether. A message about value and trust. For Kuminga, the issue isn't just about money, it's about being seen as a foundational piece. He doesn't want to sign a short-term, team-friendly contract that signals to the rest of the league that he's expendable. He wants a deal that reflects both his talent and the trust in his development. There's a deeper emotional undertone here. Kuminga felt sidelined last season, benched in crucial games and pushed out of the rotation when it mattered most. In his mind, the organization already showed where he stands in their long-term plans. Now, he's responding by taking control of his own future. Sources say he's uninterested in a deal designed to make him easier to trade mid-season. He wants a contract that symbolizes investment, whether it's from the Warriors or another team. What's at stake? This standoff has bigger implications than just one player's contract. It speaks to Golden State's ability to manage rising young talent and to maintain flexibility while remaining competitive. The longer this drags out, the more it risks affecting team chemistry, free agency plans, and front office credibility. For Kuminga, the next few months could define his trajectory in the league. If he signs the qualifying offer and enters unrestricted free agency next year, he risks injury or inconsistent minutes, but if he performs well, he could command a far larger deal on his terms. For the Warriors, the dilemma is simple but tough. Either invest in a young, still developing player whose ceiling remains high, or try to extract value now before it's too late. What comes next? October training camp deadline. If Kuminga doesn't accept the qualifying offer by then, he enters a precarious position that could hurt his leverage and readiness for the season. Mid-season trade possibility. If he signs the qualifying offer, he becomes trade eligible later in the season, but with limited control over the process. Breakout potential. Should he stay and receive meaningful minutes, a strong start could raise both his trade value and long-term price tag. A waiting game. Both sides may need to endure more uncertainty, unless one is willing to compromise soon.